Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Autumn. In today's video, I am so excited for today's video because one thing about me, I know a lot about clients. I know about gaining and maintaining clients. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how to fire your client, if you need to fire your client, and how should you go about it with tact. So this is something that is very important because not only does it help us face conflict, but it also helps us problem solve in our business and with our clients. And sometimes it may just be a communication issue. So we're going to take a look at some things, and if you need to fire a client, how should you go about it? And stay tuned for a story time because I'm going to tell you a story time about how I went to fire a client and I was actually able to resolve the issue between us, and then the relationship got better from there. All right, so why should you fire a client, and when kind of should you fire a client, right? So for me, if I look down, I have some notes here. I don't want to forget anything. I took a lot of notes. So sometimes it's the communication styles don't match. Maybe they're a little more hostile and you're a little bit more of a, you don't know how to speak up for yourself, or you're a little soft spoken. And so you want to think about, are they offering you any harsh criticism? And harsh criticism is a little more harsh, but it's not in a constructive way, because if your clients have concern, they should be able to talk to you and it be mainly something that you guys can solve together, the issue. And one of the biggest things is if they have no respect for your time or any of your other clients. They don't think about being late, how that could affect you, or they no-show. For me, no-shows is a no-go. I will cancel you pretty much if you no-show on me consistently. However, I do know that there are some things that we can't control in our lives. So as long as the communication is there, I'm willing to work with anybody, but we're talking about repeat offenders, like those people who just can't seem to respect us or our time. And you really have to think about it, because this is your business, this is your life, this is what you do, and you have other clients who have no problem sticking to your policies and procedures, and you do not want to start relaxing those for one. I'd rather lose one than, go against what I said I was gonna do and then lose others because I can't be on time for their appointment. If you're in the process of thinking, should you fire a client, I think that there are some key things that you should think about before you proceed with wanting to fire the client, such as, have you exhausted all your options? Have you considered talking to the client? Have you taken accountability on the things that maybe you could have done, as far as like, were you clear on your policies and procedures on your website? Were you clear in the consultation? Were you clear about maybe the fact that she needs to clean her lashes or do whatever? Have you been thorough enough for it to make sense? So if that client goes against those things, then you know it's out of pure disrespect. But if it's not, you have to take accountability for those things, such as, I know a lot of the times, like some of my students, they'll tell me if they get into conflicts with clients, it's mainly because they were not clear on their website about their no refunds, or they were not reiterating with their clients in person. And I know, guys, I know that it is scary sometimes to have those conversations, and the more that you have them, the more that you practice having them, it's going to be so much better for you guys. All right, so you also have to ask yourself, are you losing money or losing time? And like I said, sometimes, like, especially when people no-show you, if you've had no-shows, and I'm sure that we all have, like, no-shows is the worst, because you could have put another client there, especially when you are super busy and have a ton of clients, and then you won't have people that want to get in. Like me, I have like a list of clients that are on a wait list, but they can't get in because someone no-shows. Like, and then you lose the time and you lose the money. And like we said, when we work for ourselves or when we are building our business, like, it's very important that you are firm in that, because you're losing money, girl. Like, no one wants to lose money. The main thing I want you guys to consider before firing a client, or considering firing a client, is asking yourself the question of, is this upholding the beliefs about how you feel about yourself and how you feel about yourself with running your business? does it reflect on your standards and your personal policies, your personal morals, your personal integrity? Does this go against that? Because that's the last thing you want to do. If you start letting people go against you in that way, then you might as well just let them run the business. You might as well just hand them over everything, right? So we don't want to do that. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick story time, and the reason why I want to share this story time is because I was actually able to come to a resolution with this client, and we were able to carry on our client relationship, and it taught me some things about how to be more direct with people. So we're gonna go over that. So back when I was doing hair, and this was a few years ago, I was doing a client, and she was an older client. She would get relaxers and colors in the same day. So I believe we had about a 3-hour like block off for her. So that was quite a bit of time. And mind you, I think at the time she had to be like in her 50s. Not that 50s is old or anything. I'm just giving context for how drastic our age difference was. So it was kind of harder to have this conversation with a lady who I kind of could see her in the light of like being my mother, if that makes sense. So those clients do make it kind of hard for us to have those conversations. But the thing was, she was not just late sometimes. Like, she would be like an hour. She would try to be like an hour late. And mind you, I was working in a chain, kind of like, I was working for an Aveda salon, a local Aveda salon. So they had certain rules where you couldn't just turn like away the client like that. So it was really disheartening those times where I had to still take her and service her. But I just knew, I was like, after the second time, I was like, okay, if it happens again, then because the second time she no-showed pretty much, but then she called to reschedule, and then the front desk had rescheduled her for another day. But I was like, if this happens again, like, I gotta talk to her. And then if I have to talk to her again, like, I don't care what anybody says, like, I'm not continuing to do your service. So the third time, I believe the third time she came, she was late. She wasn't an hour late, but she was about 30 minutes late, which is enough to like put you behind, especially when you're doing a relaxer. So when she came and I started on her service, I talked to her. I was like, hey, you know, is everything okay? Like, I've noticed that you've been late the last few times that you've come to your appointment, and I just wanted you to know that it is, you know, throwing me behind. I was wondering if we could choose another day or another time frame. Maybe if earlier in the morning is better for you, I'd be willing to adjust. And so we kind of talked about it a little bit, and she was saying that she would, you know, she would still want to keep her time, but she would be more mindful of the fact that she had an appointment. And, you know, at first I didn't want to assume, because what if she had other things going on? What if she had some issues that I just didn't know about? But 3 times, like, you know, so this is where you have to, you know, think about what it's worth. So I gave her one more chance. And so the next time she came, I want to say she was like an hour late. And then at that point I was like, all right, no, like, she's gonna come. I'm gonna let her come to her appointment, and we're gonna have this talk. And I had already told my manager, I'm like, hey, like, I'm not doing her anymore. I don't care. And at that point I was really angry. But after I sat and I thought about it, I was like, okay, how can I see if I could resolve this? Because she actually was a good client. It just didn't feel like she was respecting my time. So I had to go back and think of all the times like where I never addressed the issue when it happened. So I had to take accountability for me not addressing it when it happened. I would just let her slide on. And we can't do that within our business or our clients. We can't do that because, like I said, you have 10 or 20 or however many more clients who will actually show up on time for you. So you don't want to start letting one slide. So that was the first mistake I made. I just wasn't clear enough in addressing the issue when it happened. So when she came in this time, of course, like, I was already feeling hella disrespected because I just felt like you couldn't respect my time. So this is the time I have blocked out for you. I'm here for you. I made sure to be on time and finish my clients for you. And if you can't show up, man, then you need to find someone else. That's what I was thinking, but I wanted to go about it in a tactful way. So when she came in this time, I told her, I was like, hey, you know, we really need to have a serious talk. Like, I pulled the chair up and everything. So I sat next to her and I was like, hey, I really enjoy you being my client. I think we have great conversation. I love the way your hair turns out. I know you love the way your hair turns out, but I'm feeling a little like I'm not being heard when I told you last time that I needed you to be on time, because I still have other clients after you. And as of right now, I no longer feel comfortable taking you as my client, because I feel like my time and my energy and my effort is not being reciprocated, and it feels like you don't care about me or what I have going on enough to be on time for me to service you. And if you would like for me to do your hair, then you know, this is the time that I have allotted for you. I make sure I show up on time for you. So, but I understand that I may have not been clear the first few times that it happened. So I take responsibility on that by making you feel like this was okay. So I ended up taking responsibility for the things that maybe the communication in which she felt that it was okay for her to do that. So by doing that, it really made her think, okay, well, at first she got a little upset, but then when I started taking the accountability for my part in it, it was easier for her to take accountability. And then come to find out, she had a lot going on, a few issues going on, and she was clear about not letting that slide. So I even offered her, I was like, hey, if you are not available, you know, for me and my times, and as much as I love seeing you, here's another option that I have for you. And I had two other stylists, one in the salon that I worked in, and then another one in another salon, another stylist that I knew who did what I did. And I let her know, hey, you know, she's an amazing stylist. I'll set up the introduction if you would like to go over there, if that works better for you. So I think when I did this, it kind of showed the self-respect that I had, that although I enjoy her as my client, I'm not gonna let her decide and dictate and run my business for me. And so she understood that, and she, of course, she was mad because I told her I still wasn't servicing her that day. And that's the thing, you guys, you have to stand on whatever it is you said. Like, I told her I was not servicing her that day. I did not care. Like, of course I didn't tell her I didn't care, but in my mind I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm not servicing you. And at this point, like, I was okay with ending the client relationship. And so she, after we talked about it, and she realized that I was still not servicing her, I was not doing her hair, I wasn't doing anything, she was like, okay, well, what can we do to resolve this, because I actually love how you do my hair. And she apologized. She was like, I'm sorry for not respecting you or your time and your business, and I really appreciate you taking me every time. I will be more mindful. What can we do to resolve this, because I don't want to go to anyone else but you. Okay, so this is where you have to really see yourself in a light where you are worth, you know, making them basically pay for the whole service ahead of time. And so I told her that, and I was straight up with her. I was like, hey, like, I'm not even gonna front, like, I'm missing money today because you have not been on time. And so I made her, well, not made her, but I requested that she pay half of the service that she was supposed to get that day. And in the future, if she wanted to reschedule and book with me, she had to pay the whole full price up front, which by my surprise, she actually agreed to. And I think this was the first time that I had resolved a situation with a client. So it was very, like, it made me feel like, okay, like, that wasn't hard at all. I just had to be mindful and I had to be tactful. And so she ended up staying my client. And of course, until I left, like, she paid the price, like, full time. Every time she called to make an appointment, she went on ahead and paid for it. And I actually started making her show up on time, because, you know, you got to make people put their money up That's what I'm learning. You make people put their money up, and of course they show up. That's why your deposit should be a nice amount, so that people don't forget, like, hey, like I paid. Not my camera cut off, but I think I was saying, like, that's why your deposits need to be a good amount, or your prices should be a good amount, to where you are taking enough money that if that client no shows, you have a sufficient amount of money that you know, instead of getting nothing, pretty much. So we were able to resolve the issue, and she was my client up until I left, and it was great. So some of the key things that I want to reiterate to you guys about how to fire your client. Now, first thing you want to do is you want to come through with some tact. You can't be emotional when you are doing it. You can't overthink, and you can't do all that inviting other people into it. So no, he said, she said, especially if you are in a salon and there are other people involved. You always want to start with appreciating your client for being your client, because they could have went anywhere else in the world, but they are here with you. And yeah, you want to speak to the fact that you appreciate them and you appreciate their business, but you want to follow it up with the fact that you feel disrespected and you feel like whatever it is, whether they're not being on time, whether they're not being considerate, whether they are half paying. I've heard of that, where people are half paying. Like, don't do that. But I've heard all kind of things, and you have to, you know, set some boundaries and set some rules. Like, hey, like, this is my policy, and these are the things that you need to do in order to book with me. And if you are not willing to book with me, that's fine. And this is the thing I think that ties it all together, where the client actually sees the value in you, is when you show that you are not needy for their business. Now, this is important. So that's why I offered her other artists. So I offer her other hairstylists, like 2 other hairstylists, and I was nice about it. I was like, hey, I can get the introduction going for you, you know, I can help you set up the appointment with them. Like, and it's not in a way that you're trying to push them off, but it's in the way of honoring what you need and want and your desires for your business, respecting yourself, and at the same time still trying to solve the problem for the client. So what it does more so for you is it reinstates and it reestablishes the respect that you have for yourself and your business and you as a person. And then it helps them to see that, okay, well, she's not needy for my business, but she still wants to help me, although I did XYZ to her. And if you are able to resolve the issue, then it will be much more easier, which I recommend that you have her pay up front. If she wants to continue being a client with you, she should have no problem doing that, right? So I hope that this ties in together, you guys, for the fact that at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable with not running to conflict, but welcoming the conflict in, because that's where you get better. That's where you start problem solving. This is how you learn to talk to people, learn to be honest with yourself about what you want, and establish that respect within yourself, and keep that up there, keep that at the forefront. Because if you respect yourself in your business, you're only going to attract the people who get it and understand and respect the business and you as a person. And nothing's worse than like having like so many people like that want to do the right thing, and then you have that one person hanging on because you feel like you need money or you feel like you need their business. And let me tell you, don't be desperate for anything. Don't be giving out desperate energy out here. Your clients are gonna find you. Your tribe is gonna find you. It will be okay. Don't accept bullshit from anyone, all right? So I hope this video helps you guys. We are actually in my studio today. I am redoing it. I'm sure you see the wallpaper back there. It's snakeskin. If you know me, you know I love it. It's such my vibe. So yeah, I can't wait to show you guys when it's done. But I'm gonna get ready for my first client of the day. We have 6 today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I wanted to drop this video for you because this is something that I feel will help you, as long as you are keeping yourself, your your self-respect and yourself at the forefront, your needs and wants, and you are clear with all of your clients about what you expect, it's okay to have that expectation because this is your domain, right? All right, so I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.